Welcome to Popcorned Planet. I am Andy Signore, and today we are here to talk about Amanda Bynes. News broke out on Friday over the weekend that Amanda Bynes would be filing a petition to end her conservatorship and has parents' support. Bynes, 35, has been in a conservatorship under her parents, Lynn and Rick Bynes, since 2013. Actress Amanda Bynes is seeking to end her 9-year conservatorship, and she's doing so with her parents' approval. Bynes filed a petition Wednesday at Ventura County Superior Court in California to terminate the conservatorship of her person and estate. A hearing on the matter is scheduled for March 22nd. According to the court document, page 6 was first to report the news. David Esquibias, attorney for Bynes, said she believes her condition has improved and no longer needs protection of the court. An attorney for Bynes' parents said they will not attend the virtual hearing, but they support their daughter's decision and will agree to her request to end the conservatorship. The parents are happy, thrilled to get this good news. Attorney Tamar Amarik said in a phone interview Friday, the professionals say she is ready to make her own life choices and decisions and are so proud of her. They 100% support her decision to end the conservatorship. Bynes, 35, has been in a conservatorship under her parents since 2013 amidst substance abuse issues, controversial Twitter rants, and legal troubles. Can you imagine getting thrown into a conservatorship due to Twitter rants? Okay. Granted, there was more to it, but I look forward to Amanda coming out and hopefully illuminating us more on what this was. Did she really want this? Was this actually helpful for her? Let's go through what we know so far. Court documents state that over the past few years, Bynes had made significant strides and desires to live free of any constraint. The former All That star is currently attending the Fashion Institute of Design and has received above average grades. Documents state in 2018 she earned an associate degree cum laude in merchandise product development. She's now pursuing a bachelor's degree. Since 2020, she has been living in what her attorney described as a structured community for women. And last year, she transitioned to an apartment community that offers independent living skills before the women live on their own. While living in the apartment community, Bynes underwent random toxology screenings, weekly apartment checks, and check-ins with her case manager. The manager said Bynes consistently tested negative for illegal substances. The actress opened up about her struggles in 2018. At the time, she had been sober for 4 years and thanked her parents for really helping her get back on track. She said she was ashamed of her past behavior and felt adrift after retiring from acting in 2010. I just had no purpose in life. I'd been working my whole life, and now I was doing nothing. She told the magazine, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I would wake and bake and literally be stoned all day. In March 2020, a lawyer for the actress announced that she was seeking treatment for ongoing mental health issues. 2 months later, Bynes wrote on Instagram that she was in a much better place and was looking forward to getting her degree from FIDM. Bynes' request to free herself from her conservatorship comes 3 months after a judge ruled in favor of ending Britney Spears' 13-year conservatorship following a contentious court battle with her father. Now, I want to say right out the gate, before we even get into the timeline of things, I don't know what's going on, and I apologize to Amanda or anybody if there's more stuff here that we just don't know. However, the optics from what I can see, looking at this objectively, look, I have trouble with any conservatorship that is done to these young actors and stuff and talented, celebrities. When even if she doesn't think she's a celebrity, she is, and I have trouble with that because a conservatorship again isn't meant to be for that. Conservatorship's not supposed to be there for people who have drug issues or whatnot. Conservatorships are for elderly people who can no longer speak or move and can clearly not handle their finances any further. That's what a conservatorship was built for. However, Hollywood and people have now morphed this conservatorship to try to speak for a lot of famous people to get control of estates. Now, in this instance, as we go through things, there's a glaring difference between what Amanda Bynes went through and what Britney Spears went through. And I'm not trying to compare who's worse or whatever, but I do want to point out the fact that, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I don't see her parents forcing her to work. I don't see her parents monetizing to the level that the Spears family did. I don't see her parents forcing her on tour, forcing her to record albums, keeping her from her own children, dangling her children's custody while in state of conservatorshipness. I don't see the same level of shock in this one. I do see Amanda Bynes went through a lot. She's admitted as much. I assume she's telling us the truth. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's been under a much worse situation than we realize. And that's why I want to make sure that she gets what she's asking for, her freedom, because if she wants to throw it all away on drugs and Twitter rants, whether that's right or wrong to you in your opinion, it's her choice. It's her freedom. We can't keep locking people up because, they're on Twitter rants. They're saying things that are inappropriate. They're on drugs. That is not what conservatorships were built for. So while we go through this history of things and the issues she's gone through, which I don't fault her for at all, it should not be an excuse for thrusting her in this situation, in my opinion. And the reality, though, is when you look at Amanda Bynes' history and you go through the timeline, which we're going to go through, I have trouble comparing this one to BRITNEY, and I don't think we should. BRITNEY clearly has inspired people to open up and talk about conservatorships, and the reality is none of these people should be in conservatorships, in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents. What happened to BRITNEY and what her parents did to her seems like it was just way more criminal and awful than what Amanda's done, which was Amanda's just had a lot of her own, I don't want to use the word meltdowns, but issues through Twitter, et cetera, and admitted issues with substance abuse that she's wrestled with. She's had her own demons there. It's a hard thing to get through. But imagine if every drug addict had to be put in a conservatorship. That's not how it works. And that's not how it should work. And I'm very excited as we go through timeline. I'm happy to have Steph, the alternate, joining to hear her thoughts on this as we break down the Amanda Bynes story. But welcome to the show. Good to have you, Steph, as always. Hey up.
Good to be here as always. Hey up, everyone. How do?
So you've been looking into this case too, and I was just sort of giving a preamble, and I read the latest update here of the conservatorship, how she's getting her parents' support. It seems like it's all on track. It seems like clearly people paid attention to what happened to BRITNEY, and no one wants to risk the wrath of trying to insist that she should stay under a conservatorship. And when I see this headline and I read this article, it's hard to not think, are people trying to, cover their bases here in a way? Like, what is there worse than what we know? I don't know the answer to that. We're going to go through what we do know so far. However, I know that if she wants out, she should come out. There's no reason for her. She doesn't seem mentally incapacitated to the degree that warrants what conservatorships are for. And if she's demanding that she get out at this point, whether BRITNEY inspired it or maybe she actually enjoyed the support she had, I don't know. We'll learn more as she speaks up and shares that truth with us. But do you agree overall with those sort of baseline things before we break down what got us here in the first place?
Yep.
There it is. Easy. I mean, it's like part of me doesn't even really want to go through. I mean, look, there's a list, entertainment, like of all the breakdowns and the timeline of all those things. I don't want to go through this year of 2012 and, do every little thing that she had from 2013. Everyone remembers that she sort of, wanted Drake to murder her, her cat. I will say it's another way. There were instances like that, did they seem off or troubling? Sure. But I don't want to, just like we don't go back and talk about BRITNEY's, shaving and all the things. I don't see the need in doing all this. Only in that just telling you guys, even Courtney Love at some point told Amanda Bynes, pull it together, dude, which is pretty telling. And judgy even from one Courtney Love who perhaps, as this even says, history's hottest mess at the time. But that just to sum up of what was happening, there was a lot of stuff she was going through at the time and a lot of questionable stuff that she was going through. So what happened? What happened to Amanda Bynes? What got us to this point? I want to break down. This article does a pretty good and I think fair breakdown of sort of the most important points so we can go through and understand, and I'll hopefully have a conversation here. So I'm going to start reading through. Steph, just speak up if you want to chime in or add something here. But she was born in 1986 in April in California. And her first big break was All That, which ironically, right, isn't that the show Jamie Lynn Spears joined later in life? Amanda Bynes wasn't there due to her famous parents. No, Amanda Bynes was there due due to talent. In fact, she was so talented, she got her own show and then it pursued to her own movies. And a similar parallel to a Nickelodeon star, young Jamie Lynn. Jamie Lynn clearly got there thanks to nepotism and her family's name. But she didn't get to keep Zoe things or going everything through, whereas Amanda Bynes did. Amanda Bynes was a very, self-made child star who built a pretty impressive career, if we're being honest. She started in the late 90s with Nickelodeon's All That, where she really shined. She then got to do her own show, and then she started getting actual big paydays, making $2 to $3 million a year as she was doing these characters. And then she got her big movie role in Big Fat Liar with Frankie Muniz, if you remember him, Malcolm in the Middle. And it was a pretty big hit for such a movie. It made $53 million worldwide, and that led her to be the teen to sign to Hollywood that year, around 2002. And she then made What a Girl Wants, which was a pretty big popular vehicle for her. She continued to, her stock was rising is what I just want to sort of sum up here as we go through this. She had 17 Choice Awards, 9 other nominations to her name by 2004. And she was in Vanity Fair's iconic 2003 Teen Girls cover. A lot of stuff. She then led the leading role in her own TV show, What I Like About You. That was the one, I think, with Jenny Garth from 90210. And she was 16 years 16 at the show's start, and started providing some more mature content that she could actually try to act with instead of all sort of the kiddie stuff. Fast forward through all her movie roles, TV shows that she got, allegedly, and this is Amanda's own words, she went into a deep depression during filming of She's the Man, which was a very popular teen teen rom-com, where she, in a Shakespearean twist, where she was, playing a boy. And she said with this movie that should have been seen as a home run for the experienced actress, she slipped into a deep depression. I went into a deep depression for 4 to 6 months because I didn't like how I looked when I was a boy, she admitted during a 2018 interview with Paper Magazine. Her makeup and wardrobe while playing Sebastian messed with her body image. It was a super strange and out-of-body experience. It really put me into a funk. At that point, then she did pivot over from the movie was in 2006, right? 2007, which I just showed you, where I got to meet Amanda Bynes. Boom, yeah, I'll humble brag here. I got to meet her. This was during Hairspray. There's Zac Efron, Vanessa Hudgens in the background. But I got to meet her here at this MTV Movie Awards, and like I said at the beginning of the show, she was really lovely. Granted, it was a very quick experience. She was very nice, very put together. I didn't think she was out of it. In fact, I knew a friend who knew her and was closer to her, only spoke highly of her. Really funny, nice girl. A lot of guys had crushes on her. She was just, beautiful, but kind of funny and, nerdy in a way. Just a nice person that a lot of people really were rooting for and liked her and only spoke fondly of her. And so she secured Hairspray, which was a pretty big movie for her. It did really well. And went on to gross 120 million worldwide. And it seemed like all things were going forward. She also then jumped into Easy A, the film with, why am I blanking on her name?
Emma Stone.
Thank you, Emma Stone. And that went on to be a big hit as well. After that, Amanda's demons couldn't be kept in the closet. She was struggling and unhappy in her personal and professional life, and with an unhealthy relationship to pills, she started spiraling out of control. She realized that maybe her Hollywood life had become too much. There was a movie, am I going to get there? I think it's coming up. All right, we're getting there. 2007, Bynes reported net worth was $8 million, but it was all at risk due to her personal troubles. And although she managed to avoid the 2000s tabloid rampage on young actresses, she had developing a dependency on recreational substances that wreaked havoc in her life. She became addicted to Adderall and became frightful. She managed to secure a steady supply by going to a psychiatrist and faking the symptoms of ADD. She admitted she later confessed that she abused the substance to the point that she couldn't hide the side effects from her co-stars. And this is where she was in the film Hall Pass, which was, I think, Owen Wilson and Jason Sudeikis. And she was in that film for a couple weeks until she left. I remember not being able to focus on my lines, said of the short time on set, and while rumors circulated that her substance got her fired, Amanda had a different story. I made a bunch of mistakes, but I wasn't fired. I did leave. It was definitely completely unprofessional of me to walk off and leave them stranded when they'd spent so much money on a set and crew and camera equipment and everything. Bynes was now on her way out of Hollywood, and the breaking point was coming. But this hall pass moment when she left the movie was the worst thing you can do in a Hollywood situation, because it just shows producers and people in the business you're not reliable. That costing the movie money literally can sink your whole career. And when she made that choice, which good on her for doing it, because I guess she realized she was just out of it and she couldn't. But that's a tough thing to do, and it clearly had serious ramifications through her in Hollywood as she's dealing with body image issues, right? Drug abuse, things that happen to a lot of child stars. Not something we just blame her for, because she's clearly struggling. It was Easy A screening where Amanda knew enough was enough. She remembered sitting in the theater while everyone was laughing along with the comedy, and she couldn't stand her acting. Different reaction than everyone else to the movie made it clear that something was off. Clearly, she is having side effects to all the drugs, everything else that she's putting herself through. I literally couldn't stand my appearance in that movie, and I didn't like my performance, Bynes admitted. I was absolutely convinced I needed to stop acting after seeing it. Amanda didn't know it at the time, but the substances were consuming and absolutely changed her perception of things. She then announced her retirement, and she did it on Twitter. She said, I saw Easy A. I was convinced that I should never be on camera again. I officially retired on Twitter, which was like, also stupid. If I was going to retire, I should have put out a press statement, but no, I did it on Twitter. Upon reflection, Amanda admitted that she handled her retirement the wrong way, but her mind was fogged by all the substances. It was just like, you know what? I'm so over this, so I just did it. Bynes recalled, but it was really foolish, having said goodbye to her acting career. What would come next? At this point now, she's pushed out of Hollywood. She's clearly not dealt with the substance abuse. She's having these severe body issues in reaction to the drugs. And she just sort of walked away from her millionaire lifestyle. And overnight, the offers just dried up. At age 24, she found herself with nothing but time on her hands. I just had no purpose in life, Bynes recalled. I'd been doing work my whole life, and now I was doing nothing. Before long, Amanda found herself surrounded by a seedy crowd that encouraged her experimentation with substances, and she described her days as consumed by being at home, using recreational substances, watching TV, and tweeting. But things would only get worse. Now, I want to pause there just to get your reaction to stuff so we can talk about this. I mean, already up to this point, it's just really sad, right? And just you can see a young actress, which happens all the time. These child stars get thrusted into this world of fame. They are constantly working, doing these big projects, being part of these film families, and then move on. And then suddenly she has the wherewithal to realize that something's not right. I need to stop, but she doesn't realize it's the drugs that are really causing it. And she pretty much throws her career away. And then she loses everything. All the stuff that had been sort of distracting and keeping her going is gone. And then she's thrust into an even deeper depression. It's really tragic, Steph. I mean, as you're watching this, what do you want to add?
Well, it's a tale as old. Oh, blah, and I could get my teeth back in. It's a tale as old as time when it comes to Hollywood and child stars. And time again, generation after generation, it doesn't seem like Hollywood is actually learning from its past mistakes. You could go back to freaking Judy Garland. You can go a little bit forward in the 80s and 90s with Macaulay Culkin. Both huge child stars, both huge in different periods of time. However, what happened? Same thing. They spiraled. There is a big, massive emphasis on having these child stars be in these movies and be in this lifestyle that's way more mature and way more complex than what they can handle as children. Yet there's no emotional, no psychological kind of apparatus in the background that helps support them mentally to go through all of that. They're not fully developed. So how can you expect a child star to be thrust in the seedy, very complex mechanics of Hollywood and come out of it with a freaking sane brain? You're deluding yourself if you think that's going to be the case. Time and time again, decade after decade after decade, generation after generation after generation, it's still happening. Hollywood loves to make money out of child stars, but doesn't do the responsible, ethical thing, which is actually looking after their mental well-being. So with that being said, I'm not surprised with what we've gone through so far that this is how Amanda Bynes ended up. I think that if she had that kind of psychological mental support right at the beginning, then maybe if she played She's the Man, she would have been mentally equipped to be able to deal with the fact that, you know what, in this role, I'm playing a man, but it's separate to my actual identity. I'm a girl. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. Enjoy those word vomit juices, guys.
Yeah, I mean, but it also should be said there are so many women, men too. It happens to both of us where we have this sort of we're not pretty enough, and the reality is like, dude, what are you talking about? You're gorgeous. Like so many people had thought Amanda Bynes still is beautiful, right? But that doesn't mean she feels that way, and a lot of people suffer with those issues internally, their insecurities, etc. And sometimes it's literally crippling enough that you do need medication or something to help you see through that fog to know that you are, a beautiful person. But it's tragic when you see someone like Amanda. It's like, dude, she was. I mean, go back. I mean, like she was stunning, and I saw a lot of you say in the chat, like she was great in these movies. She really was. She was a really good up and coming. She had only way to go was up, but she was funny, which is not always the easiest thing to find with young, new, upstart female talent, and everyone sort of took notice, and she was very starting to rise pretty quickly, and just sad that she got stuck in her own. With their own demons, really, is what seems to happen here. So, all right, I want to get back into this. Because this is where things do get darker for her after and you got to know all that context coming in. It does really sort of help clarify why she was going through a lot of the sort of more intense stuff that maybe you guys had heard or seen through. And I don't want to, this stuff glosses through it a little bit nicer than some of the other articles that really did, get into all the salacious details of her troubles. But obviously her dependency on the substance was growing, her mind clouded by what she felt was a dark place, and she started using Twitter as her own personal diary. Tweets got more erratic, concern grew over the star's well-being. When they asked her about it later, she said she felt ashamed and embarrassed over controversial tweets with Drake, Rihanna, and others. So she then also got into legal trouble. She got a DUI in 2012, which prompted her to tweet at Barack Obama to ask him to personally fire the police officer that arrested her. Not a good look. After more hit and runs, Amanda got her license revoked by the state of California. She was charged with reckless endangerment and possession in her apartment. The charges were dropped. Amanda felt like the world was out to get her, and she wanted everyone to know she was innocent. Now, again, I don't know the other side to this. Will we find out, like BRITNEY, there was more shady stuff going on behind the scenes? Maybe. I'm open to hearing it from her when she's able to sort of, sobered up and comes forward and tells us. Or was this sort of someone who was being erratic due to the substance abuse? It's hard to tell in this case on a lot of this. But again, I want to stress that doesn't justify her being in a conservatorship. Even if she has a substance abuse issue, which is clouding her judgment, people are allowed to do that and destroy their lives. Now, I can understand why parents or others may not want to do that. And in this case, maybe they really were trying to help Steph. I still don't know. But all I know is the conservatorship is such a far down last resort that shouldn't be used in instances like this, in my opinion. That doesn't mean, though, that Amanda wasn't having trouble that was maybe making her judgment clouded. Amanda versus everyone. The news of her arrest fueled quite the tabloid buzz. I have no clue why people say I'm insane, she told In Touch. Every time I've heard it, it came from an ugly person's mouth, so I don't care. Again, all the body issue stuff that she's clearly going through. Paparazzi targeted her relentlessly, and the negative press ramped up. She threatened legal action. Bynes targeted Us Weekly, Perez Hilton. Oh, gotta love Perez Hilton. Oh, my God. Finally, apparently, Jenny McCarthy tweeted, "Enough of this circus. Amanda needs help." In July 2013, Amanda was seized by the Ventura County Sheriffs after she was found starting a fire in the residential area she grew up in, Thousand Oaks, California. It's a very suburban, nice area. So she started a fire there, and that's when she was put into a 72-hour mandatory psych hold for further assessment and monitoring. From her examinations, it was determined that Amanda was suffering from bipolar disorder, and it was at this time that Amanda's parents first tried to gain legal control over their daughter. It was clear that Bynes was struggling, but would the diagnosis allow her to get the help she needed? Details of the early days of Amanda's medical journey were unclear, but in the meantime, the retired actress continued to vent her inner thoughts to her followers on Twitter. Tweets were erratic to accusatory. In the fall of 2014, who was she writing about this time? In a series of rapid tweets, Amanda accused her own father, Rick, of ABUSC throughout her childhood, but then in no time at all, she retracted that statement and said, "My dad never did any of those things," but then clarified, "The microchip in my brain made me say those things, but he's the one that ordered them to microchip me." Look, I don't want to judge this woman. She's clearly going through a lot. But again, this is where things get a little hairy because she's out there publicly saying things like this. And it does sound crazy. I don't know what other word to use, Steph. You know what I mean? But it's very, all over the place, and it is very erratic. Her parents stepped in a matter of 4 years. Amanda stepped away from her $1 million career in Hollywood. She was arrested on multiple occasions. She had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Her parents had already tried to secure legal control over their youngest daughter back in 2013 and decided again in 2014. Now, again, not to try to compare it, but we are comparing it because a lot of the Britney camps here. Britney wasn't arrested for things, right? She wasn't out there saying these crazy, erratic things on Twitter. The media was sort of pushing her and pushing her and pushing her and causing her to do some things. But there is a clear difference here where, look, I'll be honest, unless there's more information I'm missing, which, Amanda, please, at some point when you're able, speak up. It does seem like she needed help, Steph. She definitely needed some sort of help. Now, again, should it have gone as far as a conservatorship? That's the debate here, and personally, I don't think so. But the parents are continually trying. Second request for conservatorship was granted, but on a temporary basis. This was 2014. The legal arrangement was meant to extend for 6 years, giving Amanda time to focus on her mental health and well-being. It was at this time that Bynes began exploring new career options. Would this new chapter help her turn things around? And this is where things do get better. The conservatorship seemingly, did well. But is this true? Does she really feel better? Or was this, Jamie dealings where they were forcing her to do these things? Time will tell. But she enrolled in a fashion institute where she obtained her associate's degree in merchandise. The newfound passion of design and fashion, could she get a fresh start? Her time at FIDM coincided with her sobriety. According to the president, many could see that Amanda wanted to get better. She wanted to get well. She tasted the worst of the world, and she's come through it. But was this the end of the struggles? Despite her positive strides, and her personal demons continue to haunt her throughout this period. Bynes' followers on Twitter were taken on a ride of her sporadic tweet rampages, continued without a filter. Some posts were deleted, some remained, but concerns over her mental health persisted. On multiple occasions, Amanda would follow up her Twitter storms by telling her supporters that she had been hacked. This excuse became less and less believable to her followers as Amanda's account continued to tweet about fellow celebrities and family members. Despite all the rampages, she continued to strive for a more balanced life. She continued her studying IFDM to earn a bachelor's degree from the institution. She then said her priority was sobriety and mental health, and she teased the idea of returning to Hollywood. The stressors of acting proved too much and even resulted in a relapse for the actress. However, a return to sobriety support groups would bring a special someone in her life. And then, yes, in 2020, in February, there she is. She apparently got engaged. She met Paul. This is my fiance. She took to Instagram to announce the engagement. I'm so lucky. Amanda shared with her followers, sharing the special news. This is Paul, my fiance. He's the best person on the face of the earth. But the pair's relationship wasn't so simple. The engagement was called off shortly after. Amanda and Paul remained together. Could the conservatorship be blocking their wedding? Again, but Steph, could that have been a good thing? Who knows at this point, right? There's a lot of stuff here where, again, the word erratic is often used Britney unfairly, but the actions I'm seeing here do definitely seem that way. But we've learned not always believe what we see, right? So again, just trying to be fair and covering it as best I can from all sides. Questions kept circulating, and then curiosity grew, and Amanda also posted on Instagram a sonogram picture saying "baby on board." The retired Hollywood star captioned the photo. Paul also shared the excitement, sharing the same picture, "baby in the making," and it says here Amanda Bynes on the sonogram. Fans sent warm wishes and congratulations to the expectant couple, but the celebrations wouldn't last long. On May 4th, Amanda's lawyer, who was quoted in the most recent one too, said to E! News, "Amanda is not pregnant," he said definitively, "and she is sheltering in a safe location. Was this another bipolar episode?" Amanda struggled. The lawyer continued explaining his perspective. She is seeking treatment for ongoing mental health issues. "We asked for privacy during this time and for any speculation about her personal life from the public and the media to cease so Amanda can focus on getting better." However, in Amanda's eyes, her legal situation was obstructing her from getting the help she needed. This is what life has come to. Bynes shared a video where she outlined the $5,200 monthly medical expenses as a result of the conservatorship. "This is why I've asked to see the judge regarding this issue." Now, this is when fan theories come in, etc. They've noticed overwhelming radio silence over the past year. Some have speculated that there's a private Instagram that she's been using as a Finsta. The account is Persian LA 27. I know Sloan has made videos about this and gotten in fights with her, etc. There's just a lot of back and forth as to whether this is real. The fake account saying it's real, Amanda's real account saying it's not real. A lot of back and forth, and certain fans believe it is, certain fans believe it's not. Add to that, a lot of theories are out there. I saw some in the chat are even asking me. One explanation pinned blame on the former Nickelodeon mogul, Dan Schneider. In a locked Twitter account rumored to belong to her, this fake account, there was a tweet comparing Schneider to Harvey Weinstein. But again, not confirmed by Amanda yet. For loyal Bynes fans, this Twitter account is rumored to be part of the retired actresses for her hotspot for gossip and rumors. It's been suspected to be a hoax, but they've tried to go after it with Twitter, etc. And apparently, I think it's still there. Can you guys verify in the audience? Is Persian LA 27 still available? Be careful. Don't treat it as news necessarily because it may not be real. Persian goes by the name Amanda Bynes. A rumored reference to Ask Ashley, one of the old segments from the show. The tweets coming from the account often went back and forth, sometimes denying relation to Amanda, sometimes bashing the actress, and even cries for help. So that became a whole nother thing, back and forth as to who is that real. She said, "I am not Persian LA 27. I am not getting married, and I am not pregnant. I don't understand why Twitter won't take down this account." Read a tweet from Amanda Bynes' official account. But rumors continue to stick.
It's privated.
Yeah, well, it's always been privated, but it is still up.
It's still up, yeah.
And so, just like people don't think BRITNEY is still writing on her Instagram, a lot of people don't believe Amanda is, and that fake account is the real one. I have no idea. I don't know yet, but that's what we know so far. It's me, often imitated but never duplicated. I refuse to be silenced. My friends know how to reach me. XOXO. She wrote back in defense. Could have easily solved that by just posting a video, but she didn't. Twitter also took notice, but hasn't pulled it, and because imitation of celebrity is not allowed. Page 6 even reached out, but they said, "Look, we can't discuss it." So fast forward, we don't know what that account is. There are some accounts, some back and forth as whether that person is real. But at the end of the day, a lot of people have finally stood up and been supporting Amanda over the last year. Hillary Burton from One Tree Hill, rooting for her. And then Nick Cannon also wrote a big letter because they were there from their Nickelodeon days, supporting it. "I genuinely feel that Bynes is one of the most pleasant human beings I'd ever had the pleasure of meeting." He related to the troubles of fame that Amanda experienced, adding, "One must know how to navigate through the matrix, or you may find yourself in a very dark hole." Very good words, true words for people, especially young actors in Hollywood. She then, she gave this speech to Holly Scoop. I think this was 2018, and she did share there as well that, she likes, it goes both ways, the love, and she considers her All That castmates as family, appreciated their support. And so what does the future hold? Well, she's still in that school, etc. But let's see. I was making sure. Yeah, there we go. We got basically the future holds right now. We are now waiting for her to do this follow-up to see will she be out of this conservatorship. Now, it did say it was temporary. 6 years is now what it's been. Or 6 years was what it was supposed to be. It's now been 9 years longer. The timing is interesting here, Steph, where the parents are now supporting it so many months after Britney's, right? I wonder, do you think Britney's battle has made this pressure to let her out be, do you think that's what caused it?
I think it was certainly a catalyst. Whether it caused it or not, we don't know. Amanda Bynes could have been in the same position as Britney in the sense of that she may not have known that she could just petition to get out of the conservatorship. Like Britney turned around and said, and I'm paraphrasing here, she turned around and said that she didn't know that she could actually ask the court to get the hell out. Amanda Bynes will have, I would have safely presumed, will have seen the Free Britney movement, seen what Britney said and thought, oh, hang on a minute, I don't have to just be in this. I can actually have a potential say and ask the judge to let me out. So, yeah, I think it's a catalyst. Whether it's caused it, hard to say. Should she have been in a conservatorship from the start? No. I think it was either Christopher Melcher or BJ that turned around and essentially said that for someone to be in a conservatorship, it has to be that they can't get out of bed. It has to be that they can't look after themselves, that they can't string words together, that they are literally incapable. Other than that, if they're wild, if they're doing stuff, whatever it is, well, that's their freedom to naff up their own life. That's got naff all to do with anyone else. You can try and help, you can try and guide, but forcing yourself on them in their lives with a conservatorship is plain wrong. And I stand by that in regards to Amanda Bynes as well. She should have never been in a conservatorship. I mean, I remember back in the day when she was unfortunately having her troubles and having a hard time in life. And, you know, starting the fires and those wigs and just the Twitters. Damn, I remember the Twitter rants and the stuff that she said, especially the Drake's cat situation. That definitely sticks out in my mind. So she was having issues. She was having troubles. However, going from 0 to 100, which is not helping at all, to, okay, let's get a conservatorship. I can tell you one thing that I suspect. Amanda Bynes being in a conservatorship, I would say that her parents got that idea from Britney situation.
Right.
All day long. I think what should have happened instead was that Amanda Bynes, I mean, I'm no medical officer, I ain't a doctor, I ain't got a degree in science or like that, but my suspicion, my instinct wouldn't have been a conservatorship. It would have just been put her in a 5150 psych hold or whatever to actually get her into rehab and get her the help that she needs. Because she needed rehab, not a conservatorship, ultimately.
Correct. Yeah, that's what's so
frustrating. So it
frustrating.
don't make sense.
There's so many things. I guess we need to research more of them. But yeah, exactly. There's rehab treatments. If she had some money, the parents really want to step up and help her. Get her a sign off to be like, look, go take a 6-month rehab stint. Like, let's find the best place and put you in there and let's see what we can do. And let's help you get back on a path. The reality though is, look, I understand also like an addict can be impossible to work with and they have to want to do it. Right. And so, but you're right. A 5150 hold at that point when she was setting things on fire, if that was real and there was really a danger to herself in there, yeah, do what you're legally obligated to do. Hopefully get her into a plan so she can get the help to get off the drugs, get clean, get sober, and then hopefully that point go through the intervention and do the things that, so many have done the right way versus just thrust it in a conservatorship. These conservatorships are scary. It's like at the same time, this case is harder for me when I go through all that she's been through. And I'd love to, she's admitted, look, she's like thanked her parents. There are, quotes she's done. I just don't know if they're real anymore, right? Now that we've dealt with Britney and seen that she had to fake a lot of that, she was forced to sort of tell everybody that she was fine. but then you realize the trauma that she was actually going through. It's hard to deal with, and not everyone can be as strong as Brittney is. And I'll be honest, I'm sure Brittney is still dealing with a lot of that trauma and isn't fully recouped yet. I don't mean that in a slight at all. I just mean, like, how can anybody, right, be fully back to 100% perfect when they've been through so much trauma? It's hard. You're always having your ups and downs, and you do need constant help and support around you to make sure that you're continue to go the right direction. So it does seem like she needed something here. I will admit, but again, I don't know the full truth behind all of it. I can only go off of what she's told us and what these reports have, and I appreciate that timeline, because I think it did a pretty good job summing up without getting too in the weeds and all the mean bad stuff that she's already admitted she regrets. We shouldn't define her by her biggest mistakes. We should define her based on what she's doing now, and it sounds like she's graduated, taking that fashion degree and marketing degree seriously. She doesn't want to act. Well, good on her. She's found some other places to go. I'm sure at some point she could secure another, if sober and really back to the way she is, I'm sure she could land a TV role on something at some point if she can handle it, So I wish her the best. She has only a way to go is up from here. And it does sound like, she needs the assistance, and seeing that she herself has now filed this, and seemingly everybody on the team is agreeing. Hopefully this will free her to be out of that, and she can retain control, and we can all pray that she does it better this time. But the reality is, if she fucks it up, that's her right? That's the biggest frustration I think most people don't get, Steph, is like, she's allowed to go back on drugs and spend all her money and do all that. Like, that's sadly the reality of what freedom brings you, and as sad and frustrating as it is, it still doesn't deem that we should be putting her in a conservatorship. I mean, that's just my 2 cents. Final thoughts on this from your perspective?
She should have never gone into a conservatorship in the first place. The route it should have taken, in my opinion, is that she should have gone into rehab and got better that way. And now that she wants to end the conservatorship, go for it. I mean, she's got a degree now. Someone that's not capable wouldn't be able to get a degree. So just off that basis alone, she definitely shouldn't be in a conservatorship. I wish her all the luck in the world, whether that's in acting, fashion design, or anything else. My only kind of concern is what she has been through, because we were discussing earlier on, and we saw it, that sonogram where, it was clear that she announced that she was with child. Her partner did as well. There's no subtext to it. It's very, very obvious. The fact of the matter is, though, what happened? Was it unfortunate that she lost the child? Or was it something else? There's rumors out there, unsubstantiated. It's a complete conspiracy theory that her parents, as conservators, did something where, let's put it this way, the baby was no more. And so, yeah, it's this mystery of what happened to Amanda's baby that, does need to be answered. Because if it's a case of, it was just unfortunate and she miscarried, fair enough. However, if it's something more sinister, then what then needs to happen is to look more closely into the conservatorship to find out, okay, what else went on, because as we all know now from Britney Spears' situation, all is not what it seems. And so, this bit is the only part of the story where I sit back and I think, something's just not right with that picture. And you can't, the thing is, quite literally, I don't see this sonogram that you're showing me, Andy, as photoshopped. It looks real to me. It don't look photoshopped at all.
I could totally fake that. You could totally fake that. You could
really?
All you gotta do is get a real sonogram picture off of Google and change the text up top. It's totally fakeable. Now, does that mean it is? No. But from a Photoshop standpoint, this is probably the easiest thing to fake in the whole wide world, because you just change the name and use the same font. It's not even a complicated font. Now, does that mean it is? No. I mean, most likely it's a, she lost the child. It happens so much. I'm sure there are people in our audience who have experienced that too. It is a very common thing to lose a child during pregnancy. It is awful. It sucks. It's scary. That's the most likely scenario. I mean, that could have happened, and she could still think something conspiratorial. Who knows? But yeah, I guess it's not impossible that if the parents were doing some sort of evil narrative. But that's the thing I'm trying to avoid, because just because it's possible doesn't mean it happened. You know what I mean? And I think we tend to always go there, and I know fans have, and sure, you're allowed to have those theories. But until Amanda says it, until Amanda puts that out there herself, I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on it, because if it's either way, it's sad, and it's sad for her. And so, if she wants to open up on that, then I will cover it and we will put it out there. And yes, you're right. We should pursue it. But who knows? The sad reality is, who knows? But I agree. There's a lot more to the story. This doesn't seem fake to me. It seems like she had there. And what happened to the guy sounds like it was pretty quick. That said, sometimes the best relationships are quick. So who knows? So there's a lot we still need to figure out. And hopefully she will be in a good place to share it. At the same time, hopefully people will just leave her alone, because clearly she's going through a struggle. It's a lifelong struggle to deal with addiction. It doesn't just go away even after 9 years. You got to constantly be on it and protect yourself and pay attention. And so I hope she does. I hope she has the resources near her to help her there. And I hope you guys will continue to keep us updated. If you see any news out there, we will obviously update you as well. But yeah, there we go. I appreciate it. I just want to trim this one so we can get the full timeline and the full story out there. I'm going to come to your thoughts, get your thoughts out there from the commenters. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching live, we are not done. Don't go anywhere. But before any of you leave, whether you're watching live or the replay, hit that bell for alerts, subscribe, smash the like button, and leave a comment down below. Not just here for Popcorn Planet, but also for Steph the Alter Nerd over on YouTube. Support both channels if you can, and make sure you're out there hashtagging free Amanda Bynes. Hopefully we are now on the track to get her there. Hopefully this will not be a difficult battle, given that her parents and everyone and her lawyer are supporting this initiative. But we'll see what the judge does. So stay tuned, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching live, we'll be right with you in like 8 seconds. So don't go anywhere.